Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all beautiful women of this world. I hope that your week was very peaceful, successful, and you've met your purposes. Whatever goals you had, you achieved all. And the most important is that you have this feeling of inner satisfaction that you were good to you. You maybe created some special values that make you better for you. And that simply you are happy. And we women are always busy with various matters, and today I want to invite you to grab your favorite cup of tea or coffee and spend with me a few moments and to contemplate with me a bit about the topic I want to share with you today, which is emotional intelligence. We had last week episode about emotions and how we can manage ourselves, how we can create this opportunity for self-development within the range of emotions. And today I wanted to raise this consideration around that because I find a lot of connecting elements in life. As we experience different situations, we are seeking for different answers for life, for the behavior, or about the way how we perceive the things, the way how we notice ourselves today within our age or just by status. The simple social status. And I think that we are having this beautiful skill in us as women that we question a lot of things. And later on we are diving into these oceans of multiple answers. And again, we will have sometimes even difficulties which answer will be for us suitable. And as emotions, most of the time are a driver for an act. We justify often, and we as women have this talent to say, I have right to show my emotions, especially ones that are far from positive. And also, the beloved ones are expected with high demand on accept as we are. That's it. What happens next? We fall into the natural, I call it trap, of feeling not understood, or even more, not wanted. In the worst scenario, not loved. And here's where I find the strong correlation with emotional intelligence, which we actually touch more often within the business environment and leadership qualities. But there are nice components which were raised actually by an author, Goleman, which in his book, What Makes a Leader, and in Harvard Business Review Must Read, his framework was brought, which I find very inspiring and that could be applied to our individual process of reflection, how to manage our emotions effectively. I think that we don't do the personal reflection too often. We will speak with friends, we will speak with relatives, we will talk with other people about what is happening with us or around us. And this is the way how we are seeking for support or guidance. However, it can be helpful to take existing tools. And I hope the tool that I'm bringing today to you may help you, may guide you, or give some other directions for own research, or maybe even more convenient tool that will resonate with you, that will be better understood by you. The tool that I brought to you is actually the framework that have been created by an author known from emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman, and it has 5 components of emotional intelligence. He's referring to the work construct, but I hope that it will resonate with you as it does with me, because I believe that these particular 5 elements can really amazingly design our perception for the way how we are perceiving surrounding us environment and world, and emotions that are correlated with it and actually are partnering us all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So the first element that he brought within his framework is self-awareness. The ability to recognize and understand your moods, emotions, and drives, as well as their effect on others. It's very interesting that the self-awareness, we hear about that word, but actually how often we take time to sit and write down what we saw in our mind, how we saw ourselves in particular act. Do we study what had happened, why it happened, and what's the next step is coming? Do we question our purpose and the way we create the daily content for ourselves and for others as well? We, as I mentioned, we are questioning the things, we are looking for the answers, at everything that is outside us. And one will align it with the matter of the trust, but not always, not everything what we see around must be indeed within that line. But why we do not question, as often as we question the things in front of us, we do not question our purpose, and how by our being and behaving we affect our inner health, our well-being. And of course the next level will be how we influence others by the way we act. So these questions, I'm sure we'll find a lot of answers, but which one will be the best? And here we come to second element, which is self-regulation. And it is about recognizing emotions and how actually you could do this better. So it's all about the ability to control or redirect disruptive impulses, as Goleman is stating this here. But for me, it's very pragmatic content for the self-control, kind of wake-up call, a reflection on what happened and how I can make it better, to make an outcome for my inner better self that will make me feel better. We have this tendency to talk a lot about our feelings and expecting that the person to whom we are talking about will get it in 100%. But seriously, how it's possible? We forget that we are all different, and despite we have specific relations, certain great partnership, but still this other person will be different, and we shall not limit ourselves by putting expectations on other people. And even within that, how actually we try to review the form we speak about our feelings or needs, what tone we use when expressing ourselves for the situation which we just experienced, what language we use. Is this language it remains in line of respect to your person? When we are happy, it will be obvious, no harm comes along. But when we are not happy, anger comes on the stage and can create a really interesting verbal circus, which eventually harms us in so many ways. So how can we empower the action to change it? How we can improve it? What about bring a bit of attention for motivation? Our motivation will be driven by need of validation in various aspects, either of being or doing simple errands around the house. Here the scale is huge. Awareness about what is our motive of an act can be a thought, word, or behavior, will be critical how we want to be seen. Are we satisfied with an outcome? Do we do a reflection how we can be perceived by other people when we act in a certain way? This is so important for all of us, right? To be validated, to be considered as smart people and the person who has right to make that statements driven by emotions. But let's continue. Within that, are we creating the value or opposite, negative distraction? If this is the second one, how often actually we take time to think about it in a more committed manner? Like, for example, by naming it. This would be the first step. And then answer yourself the question, how I can change it? Or do I want to change it? If we don't want to change it, it's because most probably our ego will say, I'm a strong woman and I do not need to be delicate. They must accept me as I am. So why actually sometimes, or even not often, it disturbs us? We like to say, okay, I like myself in that way, but on the long run, we will experience different situations where this particular behavior, this attitude does not bring us good result, does not make us even feel safe. We like to put our ego into the fight, but whom are we fighting with if everybody already left? And even they are still there in presence, we don't have their ears. And this brings us incredibly to a next element of Goleman's framework, empathy. The ability to understand the emotional makeup of other people's empathy. Here I would connect this with the ability to praise ourselves, because I'm just trying to redesign this framework to apply it for us individuals. When we get up in the morning and looking in the mirror, just saying, good morning, I love you. As Shana Shapiro, I mentioned about her in previous episode, but in her book Rewire Your Mind, she was giving this very nice and powerful practice. However, we, instead to ourselves, we are in speech to say it to other people, like to parents, kids, partners. At so little moments that actually we look at ourselves, and regardless how we look, to say, I love you. I love your heart. I love your soul. I love who you are. Because we shall not forget whom you see in that mirror is the person whom you've made. And having empathy towards yourself is a very important skill that I believe needs a bit more attention from our side. We ignore it too often. And while we are in this monologue with ourselves in mirror, it actually brings us to the final component, the social skills. And Goleman sees that as proficiency in managing relationships and building networks, an ability to find common ground and build rapport. It's a very business language. However, it can be redesigned to the social life, to our outside work life. How we spend our time, with whom we spend our time. Again, are we reflecting on people who are around us? Do they boost us, or they just keep us running? This is also very important to realize that. When you really make that cycle around those 5 elements and do that exercise, I'm not saying every month, it would be too often, because it should be maybe every 6 months as a review of yourself. Longer time can help produce much more thoughts and content towards your reflection. Still, if we consider all those elements, it can show that each of them has an impact how we feel inside and how we resonate with our past, how we resonate with the way we seek the answers, and sometimes bringing us to the question, why am I looking for the answers? Especially at the part of motivation. Why am I hanging myself on this crazy tree of thoughts, which are not enabling, moving me forward, but keeping me in the sitting position and studying. Instead, just get up, open the door and see what's behind. In my understanding, it would be underline the power of purpose. I don't know if you have this kind of moments, but I had that experience in my own, as I'm driven in life through different situations. And of course, I hit the ground many times with lots of failures, one would say. I do not regret them. I love every single failure that was in my life. A moment of pain. That happened because of lack of self-regulation, self-awareness, and grounding with motivation. Being busy with looking at others rather than inside of own inner being and listen. Decisions are ours, so we cannot blame others that we created expectations and it failed. From every mistake comes the beautiful outcome. And self-awareness as the ability to recognize and understand your moods, emotions, and drivers for action give you an opportunity to grow up in maturity. Failures can make people stronger and a better person, as better me for me. We will have this moment of discomfort, but the discomfort will lead you for the lateral thinking and lead you for finding the alternatives for the positive outcome. Trick is here. Once you realize that, don't go back that road again. Since you know the pain, do all what you can do to avoid it. You paid for it already, and listen better your intuition. Do not try to be wiser than that. Made a mistake, always, when I had my inner battle with intuition voice, whenever a decision I have to make, whenever it's not comfortable or not aligned with my blurred sightseeing, I think I know better, so I do whatever I need to do. And then it comes a bill. And the bill can be crushing. Sometimes it is because of love, sometimes it is because of relationships with other people. But all brings to this very interesting lens. Non-honesty to all our own feelings take us on the detour trip. Usually during the detour trip, you can find out really amazing things that make you wiser. It will not give you time back, but still will make you wiser. I don't know if you have such experience. It would be lovely to hear from you, either within the comments or direct email. I would really be happy. Your perspective and the way how you are managing your life, because each of us is unique and each of us can learn from each other. So please, if you want, share that with me. And then moving forward, what is your motivation? Why are you making that specific decision or the other one? We will go to the process of acceptance. We will accept our decision. We will move on. And this is very important, how far you believe you do wrong or good. If we do good, sun is shining and universe responds with happiness. But if there is a moment of itchy in mind or in heart, it can be you trying to force yourself, you do right. Maybe to prove people surrounding you with the message, I will win. But if you break it down into reflection on emotions exercise from the previous episode, you will be able very quickly to verify if this decision was right or not. Being honest to yourself will be crucial. No one hears you. You speak to yourself. What was your real motivation? If it was just to impress people, okay, it can be that too. There is no wrong in that. But reflect on how it made you feel. Satisfied? Verify how you end up with your decision, either satisfied, fake satisfied, or actually disturbed. Emotional intelligence is a very powerful skill when played well with full awareness. But what is most important to be aware of is no one will make you happy if you will fall into the pattern of depending on others. You are the first and the key actor in creating your happy reality. So remember that and drive yourself to be happy. Thank you.